person needs some help.
Right.
Again, because I don't know. I mean, maybe they were driving 100 miles an hour, but maybe they now they feel bad about it, and somebody showing them a little bit of love, or maybe they don't feel bad about it, but somebody showing them a little bit of love might make them realize, like, hey, I can calm down a little bit on the road and be okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't, and frankly, it doesn't really have anything to do with me.
Well, those thoughts toward that person, I was the same way. I was the same way on the highway when somebody would fly by me.
Yeah.
Be fly by me and cut in, until I was heading home from. My wife called me saying Tyler's getting picked up by the ambulance. I just want to let you know. I was flying by and cutting through a lot of people, and ever since then, the majority of time, there's still the times they don't, but the majority of the time, who knows what's going on? Maybe your kid's sick at home.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they're just late for work, but maybe if they're late one more time, they could get fired. I don't know. And maybe they're just
An angry person.
that wants to drive fast.
Right.
You're right. So my thoughts towards them, we've got to control. I mean, those are the things that I think, if we have the love of God in us, I think we're going to have less thoughts that are outside of love than we do that are loveful. I mean, I don't know, maybe, whether I could tell. I'll tell you the story, and it's just, I mean, it's a simple act. I mean, love's an action. We know that. Love's a sacrifice. We know that. But I mean, Carrie and I love date nights, and we're consistent on them, and in some seasons we're not. And we were out on a date, and we were at this busy restaurant. And when we go out on a date, we're out there for, we're planning on spending 2 to 3, 4 hours. We're not, in a hurry.
Yeah, you're not in and out.
Super busy restaurant. And I'm sitting in a booth with my wife, and then behind me, there was another couple. And we were sitting there for about 10 minutes with no waitress, but it was just crazy busy. And all of a sudden, this waitress went to the booth behind us, and this guy starts ripping her. Just starts, we've been sitting here for 30 minutes. We haven't even got a water. What the F is your problem? Can you at least get us something to drink? And she's like, I'm very sorry, sir. I'll get you that water as soon as I can, and I'll bring back the menus. Well, it was about another 7, 8 minutes before she came back. And he goes, are you serious? And now I was getting up because I wanted to introduce him to the fivefold ministry, And Carrie's like, sit down. And I'm like, I'm going to have a chat with this guy. And I didn't. And so anyways, after just consistent bashing, he's like, that's it, I want to talk to a manager. And so he took her, and I saw him yelling at this manager, and I don't know what happened. But then Carrie and I were there for about 30 minutes. And the waitress comes up, and she was a young girl. And she came up, and she said, I'm sorry about that. I'll get you guys your water, and I'll bring you your menus. And I said, hey, take your time. I know it's busy. We're not in a hurry. I said, just go ahead and do what you need to do. And so I got to admit, Carrie and I didn't get a meal till probably an hour of sitting there. And after we were done and the place was kind of, less busy, she came back, and I said, I just want you to know something. I said, you're the best waitress we ever had. And she started to cry. I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm a college student. This is my second job. This was my first night on the job at this restaurant. I've never worked. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
So hopefully that moment of time where I think we acted out of love towards her, despite the service.
So yeah, that's the big thing in that story, right? It's you had, like, in the grand view of things, in the normal view. Okay, I'll put it that way.
Right.
I'm air quoting like some sort of right. In the normal view of things, you had every right to be upset at the service, right? At some point, you're like, okay, this is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you made an actual choice to ignore that, to not take that right. I have the right to be upset here.
Come on now. Yeah.
But I'm not going to exercise that right.
Right.
Instead, I'm going to exercise a little bit of forgiveness, a little bit of leniency, a little bit of grace and mercy,